Back with you again. The topic for this video is they're being deceived. So, you know, have you talked to people who believe things that is not reality? I think all of us can relate to that, regardless to which side of the viewpoint you're on. Sometimes people say things and you're going, how do they come to that conclusion? Where are they getting their information from? You know, are they looking at all the evidence? What is the evidence? Or are they? Today I watched a video of a guy who was going around interviewing people, and it was clear to me that some of the people that he was interviewing, they weren't looking at evidence. They were just listening to people who were telling them something, because the evidence sort of speaks for itself if you really look at it with an open mind. And if you look at it from a particular viewpoint, well, you can see whatever you want to. Obviously, we can all make something out of nothing if we're so dedicated to a particular viewpoint. Are their sources good? If they're listening to sources, are they good sources? I think I said on a recent video, I heard a TV reporter introduce someone. Well, they were introducing them not for an interview, but they were saying, and that person, and called them a right wing, a far right conspiracy theorist. Now, and fortunately, I have seen this person multiple times over the years, and he may lean right, but to call him a far right just was nonsensical to me. That's not didn't sound like reality to me, right? And yet that's what the TV reporter said he was. So if you trust your TV reporter, you better beware. So something struck me the other day, and that is that if you're deceived, you're not stupid and you're not ignorant. You're just deceived. See, you can know a lot of facts. You can have a lot of information, and yet you can be deceived. And I'm not condemning anybody here. We're all susceptible to being deceived in some way, okay? All of us are. Because we all have things that we just want to believe them, right? And of course, that's one of the things that makes up drama on in books and TV is just the fact that people think they know they think they know who their father is, but their father isn't actually who they think they are. They wanted to think their father loved them, and the reason he left home was of some circumstance. But what they find out finally at the end of the story is that their father just was disgusted with them and wanted nothing to do with them. Okay, right? So that would be someone who had deceived themselves about their father, and yet, at some point, finally in the storyline, they're awakened. So that I'm trying to get you to understand. The name of this is "They're Being Deceived." The title of this video is "They're Being Deceived," because they are being deceived, but we're all being deceived. And I doubt you'd be interested in me titling this "You're Being Deceived." I don't know whether you're being deceived or not. Okay? I just think it's probable, as I probably am deceived about something. Often we're deceived about things that aren't that important to us. We believe what we want to believe, but is the Earth flat or is it round? I've heard great arguments for both. Okay? Now, it seems logical from everything we get from all the science that gets thrown at us from the official points of view. It seems logical that the Earth is round. Certainly, sometimes usually people say, hey, going way back to 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 years ago, so-and-so, the Greek mathematician, pointed out or was looking at the Earth being round. So obviously, everybody used to know it was round, and for some reason we decided it was flat for a while, and we were misinformed. I don't know. I know this, that I'm looking at a commercial the other day for a lens, a telescopic kind of lens that you can see a long way. And so they're at the beach and or at the shore, and they look out across, and there is about half of a ship. Now, you and I have probably been taught that the reason there's half of a ship sitting there in the water is because it's over the curvature of the earth. That's why it's over there. Earth is curved. But then they take the lens and they zoom in, and that ship is sitting on the water as if it was only 100 yards offshore. Okay, so what is true? This is my point. So there will be people. This is a good point. Was the person who told you that the curvature of the earth is the reason you only see the top of the ship out there far offshore? Were they trying to deceive you, or is that what they believed? And it was that logical to them? I mean, if the earth is curved, logically, that's why we can't see that. Well, that's not the reason we can't see the bottom of the ship. Okay, but so we were deceived to believe that. Was it important? It hadn't been very important to my life. I've had people I worked to telethon years ago, and worked with the producer. The producer was told me all the stories about how great he was and how he was the youngest radio disc jockey in the history of the United States, and yada yada yada. And it didn't matter to me. It was okay because it didn't impact me. Later on, I found out from other coworkers of his that he was a liar. None of that, all that stuff was not true. I had another guy who was claimed to be a football player for one of the Division I football teams. And that was his story. And I played tennis with him one day, and I beat him. And he says to me, after I beat him, he just sort of snickered, "Hey, Mark, don't tell anybody that you beat me. They wouldn't believe it." Now, he wanted me to pretend or to participate in his lie so he could maintain his lie. Now, we found out that he wasn't on any football team or anything, okay? But it didn't matter. What he did with his life was not important to me. It didn't affect me, so he could lie. I didn't care. It was sort of humorous, sad, but humorous. There's very serious lies that maybe you don't care about, you don't know, you don't even know about. So, and I've looked a lot at the Sinaiticus. It's the Catholics have the Vaticanus. These are old versions of the Bible, and the sign found in the Sinai, Sinaiticus. And if you listen to the people who have done extensive studies, sorry, I've got a mosquito here, extensive studies, and looked at the background, looked at the history, and had interviews with, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It comes to look very much like this version of the Bible, which is now used by all of your biblical scholars. So if you happen to be a Christian and reading a Bible, there's things in that Bible that are based upon something that is, I have concluded, a forgery. It's not real stuff. And there's good evidence about that. There's good claims, etc., about that. And the history of who was how the relationships were worked out and things like that. And one of the very obvious things is that they found sheets of this original writings, and they were white when they first found them, and then they went out and found some more, and they were tinged with age. You can look at this yourself. How did that work out? How was it white, and just a few years later tinged with age, having been there for hundreds of years? Anyway, now for most of what you read in the Bible, it has no effect. But it can, when people are trying to come up with influence us. They don't come up with lies about everything. They don't tell you that, hey, the Earth is or Jupiter is blue. They don't do that. They tell you there is a spot on Jupiter that is actually orange even though it looks blue. Okay, I'm just making something up here. I'm trying to make a point. It's that small thing. But that small thing that they try to lie about can change the nature of how you view what Jupiter is. And that's the point of the lies in Vaticanicus. Sinaiticus, and probably the other as well. When you go back to look at the ancient scriptures, this stuff, the ancient writings like the Dead Sea Scrolls, etc., you don't find this stuff. Okay, that's the point. The oldest writings we actually have that we know are the oldest writings, not this stuff that they claim are old, this stuff that we know is old from other historical evidence. We know it's old. We know what it says. Now, so we're being deceived. And the thing is, who is deceiving us? The point of this, me making these illustrations and getting to Sinaiticus, the biblical writings, supposedly, the New Testament, except the writings that were supposed to come out of the Sinai, is that when they're trying to fool us, they try to fool us with authoritative people. Now, I constantly see people on TV who I know enough, I have seen enough evidence. There's clear out evidence all over the place that you're not getting seen on mainstream media, but it's all over the place. All you have to do is look a little bit. And now you may look at it and you may say, well, that's a lie. Well, then that's fine. You can continue to think it's a lie, and I can continue to think it's the truth. But to me, it's just overwhelming pieces of evidence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Look, I'll give you an example. Adam Shift. Adam Shift is a snake. That's all there is to it. He sat there and lied and lied. If you look at what he says, and then what is the eventual outcome of anything he talks about, it's almost always untrue. He had there was a point where he had what do you call it, a witness, a whistleblower that he was going to bring in to make claims about something. And that whistleblower never showed up. And he kept giving excuses. And he kept giving excuses. He's going to be here tomorrow. We got one. He's going to tell us everything. He never showed up. He never gave evidence. He didn't exist. But if you watched this man talk, he's a snake. But guess what? When you go look at your news, you're going to see Adam Schiff as somebody who they hold up as somebody who can tell you what's going on. And this is my point. He's not the only one. There are many who have such a clear agenda. They've had this same agenda for years. In fact, that's probably the best way to look at it. Look at what the agenda. You got two ways you know that people are snowballing you. Okay, one is they had an agenda 20 years ago, and then and up until 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden their agenda changed. Their viewpoints of the world changed. That's sort of suspicious. It's not impossible. If they told me, look, I used to believe X, Y, Z, but I had an epiphany because of QRT, then I can see where they can say, and now instead of believing what I used to believe in, you probably, over the years, there's plenty of people who, I used to be a racist because, that was just the thing to be. But then I finally realized that I was doing the wrong thing. And I'm no longer, treating people that way. I see the value in the humanity of the entire human race. So I no longer preach, support racist views. That has happened to many people in the United States over the decades. Okay? So you may see somebody change, but at the same time, you can look at people right now who are on the TV, who are espousing certain views, who, if you go and look at them over the last 20 years, they've been saying the same thing. Well, they're saying the same thing now, and it doesn't make sense in the context of today. It seemed to make sense back then because we saw the world in a different light. Now they're saying the same thing, but the majority of us don't see the world in that light anymore. But they are the ones that get brought forward to be the evidence for particular viewpoints. And they're just deceiving us. And so what do? We see something on, well, there's something that happens, it's on video. They bring these people in, they talk to us and tell us what the video is all about. They weren't there. They know nothing about what's going on. They just have their opinion. And they just espouse their opinion. And whether this is good or bad, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're saying good, bad or not. All that matters is that they're saying it. Okay? And you need to know who they are. You need to know what a warmonger is. And that their entire life, all they've done is tried to get your country into war. Now, that's just one example. We're being deceived all the time at all kinds of levels. And we just need to deal with it. So, some things, people can move from truth to lies. Some people are injured in some way, and they have psychological trauma, and therefore they tell you lies. I had a person who, fortunately, I was good friends with the person I was working with, their spouse. I was good friends with them. They knew me well. And so when this woman came up and started telling lies about me, and we found out it's because she didn't like me hanging out with or being friendly to somebody she hated, which was, that's what an insane person does. It wasn't insane. But she just made up these lies about me. I don't know what her problem was. There's a psychological issue. Okay? The persons who lied about being important DJs and sports figures, there's psychological issues for that. I don't know. They want you to like them, obviously, but why would they do? I don't know. But now, and I can deal with that. What I have a larger problem with, is the people who want me to change my worldview, or to just follow along their worldview. They want to shape my worldview. These are the people. This is the deceit that you need to be very careful about. So you need to know who to listen to, right? Are they psychopaths? I'm pretty sure there's some people on TV who can sit there and talk into that camera as glibly as you can. I mean, they just seem so slick. You can't catch them on anything. But if you look at their records, you're going, they say they believe in X, Y, Z, but you never see them make any progress in anything that they do. They're psychopaths. And they're psychopaths at your work, maybe, and they're psychopaths in your marketplace or whatever. You need to be aware. Be aware. So, in closing, I from a personal faith point of view, one thing that we need to remember is Jesus in John 8:44. If you go to the Gospels and look up John 8:44, you'll see Jesus saying, well, Satan is a liar. Satan wants to modify my viewpoints. He wants to turn me to a particular viewpoint. I'm not saying that everybody on the TV that you're listening to are satanic people. But if they can create confusion, if they can create conflict, then I think that they're serving Satan pretty well. If we're listening to people who help us resolve our problems, our issues. And even as far as being deceived goes, there's people who will say they're all for unity and they're all for peace, but if you look at how they say, well, you're there for unity if you unify only with them in this way, or they're for peace as long as you do what you want, you do what they want you to, and think what they want. They're all for peace and unity, but in reality, they're for division. So Satan is a liar. These people are lying to us. They're deceiving us, and we need to be aware of it. And if you've listened to me over time now, you know that I keep saying, turn to your Creator and ask Him to help you find the truth. That you don't care what it is, you only want to know the truth. And if what you want is to know the truth and not to know information that will support your own personal desires, but you want to know just what the truth is. What's the truth in the world? What's the truth in the universe? What is the truth? Ask God for it, and I believe that you will find it. Have a good day.